Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this week's episode of Heroic Nonsense, where we'll be looking at the last of the original Insecticons recently released, Bombshell. I actually never had any of the original G1 Insecticons in my collection, but always wanted them. So when I heard they were coming out with a whole team, I just knew I had to get my hands on them. But before we head into the review, let's start with a few shots of our favorite unhinged Insecticon and on and off leader, Bombshell. This episode we have 3 reproductions taken from various Transformers properties. If you can name any of the 3 sources or what they're referencing, comment below with your guesses and find out if you're right. Okay, on to the review. So starting off with the box art, you can see a nice image of Bombshell in his insect form, which most agree is a beetle. The side image is his robot form and close-up of his head, and overall I think the art is nice with its purple shading and Cybertronian landscape. Here we have the full shot of Bombshell with his Evo Fusion laser. I really enjoy his robot form, and in my opinion is his stronger of the 2 forms. Really nice detailing throughout with the black, purple, and silver complementing each other nicely. I also like that they use silver paint for a lot of the parts and think the yellow clear chest plate and slight yellow accents on the shoulders look great. You can see some nice bit of detailing and color on his legs from the side view and a bit of color on his back legs. As this is a deluxe class, we unfortunately have some spaces in the plastic, specifically around his legs and inner arm. However, when displaying him facing forward, you really don't see any of that, so I think it is generally fine. He also looks great with his Insecticon brothers, who all have that same purple, black, silver, and yellow color scheme, so if you're going to get one, I recommend getting them all. His insect form is nicely done as well, though I'd say a bit chunkier than I'd like, especially when compared to his G1 form. However, if you compare it to an actual Beetle's form, I think it actually captures the feel well. So I guess it really comes down to preference and whether you prefer a more G1 toy accurate or insect accurate form. Now on to the transformation, which is pretty straightforward and not long at all. First we'll start by clicking his legs together here and pushing down his feet. Then we need to open these leg covers like so, while moving his arms out of the way and rotating his body 180 degrees so we can then fold in his legs. First hint, you can use your thumb to press down on his upper legs while pushing up his bottom legs, as this part is a bit tight. These folded up legs will now tab into his chest portion. So hint number 2, make sure it's tight because you'll need this lined up correctly for when we fold in the arms. Simply close up his helmet over his face and straighten his front laser, and we can then move to the final part, which is closing up his arms. Hint 3, these pieces which form part of his Evo Fusion lasers as well as his back legs can be removed, but I leave them on and simply rotate them 180 degrees because I like keeping him as close to his G1 toy form as possible, which means that I leave these on in robot form as well. Really up to you. Also, don't forget to close up his fists. For this final part, we'll rotate in his arms, which click into place, and then take his forearms and click the side tabs into the side panels, which have slots for the tabs. Make sure they're nice and tight. This is why we need to ensure the legs are tabbed in correctly from earlier, otherwise this won't line up correctly. And that's it. Nice and quick. Let's take a look at how he compares size-wise to other figures in the recent toy line and one older version. Like I said earlier, the 3 latest incarnations of the Insecticons look great together. You can see though that some parts of the Legacy Evolution shrapnel were used for Bombshell, specifically the legs, and they actually both transform very similarly, though not exactly. For those wanting to complete the set, shrapnel is from the Legacy Evolution line and Kickback is from the base Legacy line. One thing I also liked was that they used silver paint in insect form for Bombshell's head when compared to the gray plastic used for Shrapnel's antenna, which gives it an overall nice, more premium look. Here we have the Insecticons next to Reflector from the War for Cybertron line. I always like these 2 groups from the G1 cartoon, so I had to put them together here. And of course, they look pretty nice next to Thundercracker and Skywarp, who they often appeared with in many of the cartoons and the '86 movie. Very cool placing them together in this type of aerial display as well. Last comparison, I've placed them next to our Generations Combiner Wars Bombshell, which is a nice figure as well. I actually display these older, smaller versions of the Insecticons with my core class, which scale nicely together, and also display them attacking and climbing up our Titan War for Cybertron Transformers Arc toy, which you can catch a glimpse of in my Transformers collection video, link here. As my first display, which I partly reproduce in my display case at home, I've placed Bombshell with the whole G1 Decepticon team. I left out one major Decepticon G1 character as I didn't pick him up yet, so let me know who you think that is in the comments. Again, Reflector and the Insecticons from a different angle just because I like these guys together so much. So most of you probably recognize one of the first images I included at the start of the video. For fun, I visually reproduced one of the major debates that came out of the '86 movie, who became Cyclonus and who became a nameless soldier in Cyclonus' armada. Tell me who you think it was below. Personally, I like to think that Skywarp directly became Cyclonus, but there are a number of different theories out there. Since I showed the '86 bombshell scene at the start, I thought I'd end with a bonus image of one of my favorite scenes of the movie, where the rest of the Insecticons and Thundercracker get reformatted by Unicron. So that's it for this week's episode showcasing Legacy Evolution Bombshell. I really hope you enjoyed it and got something useful out of it too. You'll see I have been adding some shorts for fun to my channel, some of which are short story ideas I have using the toys I review as my storytelling device. So check those out if you're interested. Otherwise, hope to see you all back here next time. And remember, it's all such heroic nonsense in the end.
Bravo!